Hello everyone. In this video, we will be discussing why every player should faction flag and the rewards that just being faction flag grants you while you are doing your content in any royal continent or any blue zones or yellow zones. Okay. Let's look at the currency that faction warfare gives us. So whenever we faction flag and kill anything, we get these faction points, and these faction points can be used to buy everything that is listed here. Now you need to raise in ranks of your faction to unlock specific things. As you can see, I am a paladin in Fort Sterling, so you need to unlock paladin if you want to make really high silver per hour with faction warfare. Without unlocking paladin, you can buy these iron campaign chests, and these give you really high amount of fame, and the silver is not that bad. The best way to earn silver with faction points, however, is to buy these elite mount cups. So this mount will be different for every city and every faction, and basically whenever you hit 50,000 points, you come to the city, you buy one of these, and it gives you 1 million. Okay, you if you have any specs in mount crafting, you can even craft this into a elite winter boar like this one. This guy happened to had one. Okay, and you can craft this mount, and this is worth over 3.5 million. You can also buy these mountain hunts with faction points, so this cost is can be ignored. The only real silver you will be investing into crafting this mount is the 20 leather, which is around 600,000 according to this price. So if you invest 600,000 into crafting a mount, you get back 3.7 million. That is a really good deal. And if you are grinding hard in faction warfare, you can easily buy 2 or 3 bear cups every single day. Now these bears do take a week to craft, but that's beside the point. You can get a passive income that is a bonus to your activities. So this can rapidly increase your silver per hour. For example, when I do solo group dungeons, I get 3 million silver per hour just with the dungeon loot with premium active. Now, since I have these cups, maybe I can farm around one or half a cup for the entire 1 hour. So let's say 500k. So the 3 million becomes 3.5 million. Okay, so that's just bonus silver and bonus rewards. So for the sake of the video, I will be buying one of this iron campaign chests and one cup. Okay, now you should not buy these campaign chests if you are just focused on silver, and I'll tell you why. Now the campaign chests are not good for silver, but they are the best source of fame as a bonus. Okay, look, I opened the campaign chest and I got some rewards. Okay, we got 118,000. That's better than doing dungeons now. Like solo dungeons don't give this much, and this is just a bonus. And this is the main reward we want from the iron campaign chests. By just clicking use on this book, you will get 200,000 fame on every single item you have equipped. So 200,000 into how many? 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's a lot of fame, and you get those a lot in the iron campaign chests. As you can see, I have filled this chest with the tomes. Look, just with the amount of books I have stashed up in here, I could potentially take 2 or 3 weapons from 0 to maximum spec. This is an absolute cheat code for anyone who's looking to fame farm. You should always buy the iron campaign chests if you are focused on fame farming and not silver farming. But if you are silver farming, just buy these cubs. They are great value for money. if you place them on a buy order, not a buy order, I mean a sell order. And if you have the mount crafting spec all the way up to 100, you can craft the elite winter bear. That mount is really expensive, as I showed you earlier. So my annual breeder is at 67, so I can't quite craft them yet. I'm working on it, but when I do reach 100, I can craft one of these every single day. No, as I said earlier, this will take a 1 week to grow, but after that 1 week, it's on a rotation. Every single time the timer hits 1 week, you get a free 3.7 million. Now this will really help in your premium upkeep as well. So really recommended that you buy them. And another thing about faction warfare, not just now we have discussed about the rewards only. Now let us look at what you have to do in order to earn those rewards. Now, if you click M and you check the map type to faction war, you can see the territories of each city. Now this is all the territory of Sterling. Okay, so you see these stars. Each star indicates the value of a zone, and the opponent can get a lot of value for capturing this zone. So why are you interested in this? So you should basically look for these starred areas of the opponent and go and capture them with a huge zerg if you can. This will give you a lot of points, and you can spend that points however you want to spend them. Now, this is for Zerg versus Zerg. This is not really that good for solo players. Granted, you can just run around in a random Zerg and they won't ask you anything. So, this is still pretty good. And another really big benefit of faction flagging is the bonus fame and loot you get as a passive buff. I'm not talking about these rewards from the vendor. You get a passive stacking buff for just being faction flagged. Now let me show you what I'm talking about. When you enter any royal city, outside royal city, you get this buff with faction flagging. See, if you read that buff, it will tell you that you get 5% more loot and 5% more fame for being faction flagged outside of the city. Now, what does this stacking buff mean? So this buff stacks up to 3 times, and for example, I'm in Caerleon. I get a 5% buff since this zone is one tier away from the city, one tile away. And if I go to Canfider, I get a 10% bonus loot and 10% bonus fame because I am 2 zones away from the city. And if I go to this zone, Can Grom, I get 15% bonus loot and bonus fame for all the activities I do. So if you want to do group dungeons in this area, this buffs up your silver and loot by 15%. Now this doesn't only apply to yellow zones. Obviously, if you want to play on a blue zone, since your character is really new and you can't really solo dungeons of the tier 5, you can do this in blue zones too, like here in these zones. These zones might only get a 10% buff since they're only 2 zones away, but you do get a bonus. Actually, this one's 3 zones away, so if you go to Cedar Corpse, you get a 15% loot buff and you can solo tier 4 group dungeons. Now, this also applies to the static zones like Russerdale. If you want to solo this static area for fame credits, you can flag up for Sterling, come here, and you get the 15% boost. Now, this does carry a small risk of being attacked by the other faction members, but that risk is really negligible since you don't really die. The only risk factor is coming into this zone to farm with an 8.4 set, and if someone else or the mobs down you, you lose 300 or 320k for repair bills. That's the only risk. If you are on a really low tier set, the repair bill would be 10-20k, which is, you can just neglect that. Now, this also works with every other city. So, for example, if I was a Limhurst citizen, I'm flagged with the Limhurst, and I can do this static for 15% more rewards. So every city has a faction, and regardless of what city you are on, except for Caerleon, Caerleon is an exception, and I will go to more detail later. But for now, every city has a faction, and you should definitely enlist to your city's faction when you are doing any content in this royal continent. Now, the faction flag is removed automatically when you enter the black zone, but that's beside the point. Now let's discuss about Caerleon and the situation around Caerleon. So I have never personally flagged up for Caerleon, but I think this is a really bad idea. The Caerleon faction does have good rewards, but every city surrounding Caerleon is a red zone. And another unique thing about Caerleon's faction is that they can kill each other. I mean, two people flagged for the same city like Caerleon can kill each other in these zones. Now that's a really big disadvantage. Generally, if you flag for something like a Sterling or Thetford or anything, players sharing the same faction can't kill each other. That's a really big advantage since it allows you to farm really, really big zergs and take over other zones. But in Caerleon, if you are in a really big zerg, they can just decide to kick you out of the party and kill you. So it's a bit hard to organize and trust people with the groups. But other than that, Caerleon is also the same as every other city. You get rewards for killing stuff while faction flagged. And another really important detail of faction flagging is the rank of your character. And every time you kill something when you're faction flag, this this stat progresses further, and this is not faction points, this is faction standing. Now both are completely different, right? Let me show you what I mean by that. uh, what is this? These are the faction points I have held, and faction standing is completely different from that. Yeah, it's here. So if you see, I have earned 30,000 points, and I have earned 39,000 faction standing. So these two stats are different. And every time, the faction week resets, you lose some of your faction standing when you are really high rank, like a paladin or anything above paladin, basically. So you can't just attain this rank and keep it going without playing the game. So if I stop playing for an year, I would be kicked down to a sentinel or whatever this thing is. But the minus points are really negligible if you keep playing. So I was not very active in the game, so I lost a lot of points. That's the faction standing. Now, if I were to change my faction to a different city, I would lose all of my progress, like everything I have worked towards here. See, I will lose everything, and the faction will be reset completely. So don't change your cities frequently, especially if you're on really high rank. Just stick to one city, find a favorite city that looks the best for you, and just stay there. No, the reason why I chose Sterling is because of its marketplace. Sterling has the best deals in the entire game. So whenever you want to buy a really expensive item, you have to check every market like the Matlock, Sterling, Limhurst, Bridgewatch, Thetford, everything. You check the item, same item in every single market, and since the prices are different on every city, you go to the city with the cheapest price and buy it from there. And this usually is Fort Sterling, since Fort Sterling has the largest player base in the game. They also have a lot of crafters, and items sell a lot faster here. So the demand is there and the supply is also there, which leads to lower prices. So if you want to buy anything, just come to Sterling and check the prices before you buy a really big item like this 8.4 shadow collar or a 8.4 stalker jacket. Right, that's it for the faction warfare rewards, and see you guys in the next video.